Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Always fun to dive in.
This time we're looking at, this is a stupid question.
Oh, yeah, I loved that one.
It's a play, and it takes place in an adult education class. So when I first heard about this Want to Change Your Life class and this whole idea of using dance as like a tool for personal transformation, I have to admit I was a little skeptical. I mean, dance.
Yeah, it's not your average self-help seminar.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But, okay, the idea itself, I mean, it's kind of intriguing, right? Like, this Clara Cotton, the instructor, she uses dance as a way for her students to sort of explore who they are and what they actually want out of life, not just what they think they should want.
It's really interesting how she uses that physicality of dance to, get to those deeper levels, the emotional and psychological stuff. There's actually a whole field of study around this idea, somatic experiencing, I think it's called. It's all about that connection between the body and the mind.
Okay, so there's some, like, actual science behind it. That makes me feel a little better, a little less, woohoo. But let's get into, like, the students in this class. This isn't just any dance class, right?
Oh, definitely not. It's quite a mix. We've got, let's see, Charles, he's a doctor, but he's got these political ambitions. And then there's Bev, she's a shop assistant who dreams of being a performer. And then there's Kat, she's a nurse, but she's actually studying to become a lawyer.
Wow. Okay, very different paths they're on.
And then it gets even more interesting. We've got Mark. He's a divorce teacher, and he has, well, let's just say some pretty lofty spiritual aspirations.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And then there's Jane, a single mom who dreams of being a CEO. And finally, there's Jack. He's kind of the opposite, actually. He escaped from the Wall Street world, and now he's just searching for, I don't know, some kind of purpose, something more meaningful.
So we've got, like, a real mix of people here, but they all come in with these very specific goals. Like, some might even say some pretty ambitious goals.
Yeah.
What's their initial take on this whole change your life through dance thing?
I mean, there's a real mix of like ambition and also frustration, you know? You can kind of tell some of them, like Charles, they seem kind of disillusioned with where they are in life. And then you have others like Mark who are like driven by this desire for something more, something almost, I don't know, transcendent.
It seems like they're all searching for something more true to themselves, right?
Yeah.
But, like, do they even know what that is yet?
I think that's the big question, isn't it? And that's where Clara's whole approach really comes in. She uses dance to kind of bypass all those thoughts and beliefs we have, the ones that are often holding us back.
So instead of, like, sitting around talking about their feelings, they're, what, dancing it out?
You could say that.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm kind of picturing a lot of interpretive flailing.
Well, it's a little more structured than that.
Yeah.
She uses like specific prompts and exercises that are meant to help students, really connect with their bodies and express themselves through movement.
Okay, so can you give me an example? Like, what's something concrete that happens in one of these classes?
So one of the first things she does is she asks each student to dance. Right. But while they're dancing, they have to explain why they chose their desired profession. So it's kind of a way to like physically embody their aspirations and see if their movements actually match up with what they say they want.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I can see how that could be revealing. But how does that work with someone like, say, Mark, the teacher who wants to be, oh, God, I can't imagine him being too keen on dancing around a studio.
He's actually the one who pushes back the most at the beginning. He questions everything, like he's skeptical of Clara's methods. He even like scoffs at the idea at first.
So he's not exactly a willing participant.
Not at first. But, well, Clara's very good at what she does, and she eventually gets him to at least try it.
So she convinces him to give it a go. What happens then?
It's pretty amazing, actually. As he starts moving, something changes. He starts talking about this vision he has for the world, a better world, right? But he's not just using words. It's like he's embodying it through his movements, this desire to eliminate suffering, to create a more harmonious existence. It's like the dance is this conduit to a deeper level of creativity for him, and allows him to explore those ideas in a way he never has before.
So it's not just about expressing emotions then, it's about using movement to, like, process and explore complex ideas. That's really interesting. I'm starting to get it. But what about the other students? Do they all react to this dance-based approach in the same way?
Well, they all have their own unique reactions, that's for sure. Some of them just take to it right away. Like Bev, the shop assistant. She really blossoms through the movement. She seems to explore her expressiveness and her confidence.
So she's becoming more comfortable in her own skin, in a way?
You could say that. And then there's Kat, the aspiring lawyer. She's a little more hesitant at first, But then she starts using the dance to process some of the anger and frustration she's been holding on to.
It's like the dance gives them this safe space to confront some of those emotions they might otherwise suppress.
Exactly. And then, as the weeks go by, something really interesting happens. Those initial desires they came in with, becoming prime minister, a god, a CEO, they start to shift and evolve.
So they're not all chasing those big ambitious goals anymore.
Not necessarily. It's like the dance helps them peel back those layers of societal expectations and self-doubt, and then they start to see a more authentic version of themselves.
Can you give me a specific example?
Okay, well, Jane, the single mom who wanted to be a CEO through the dance, she starts questioning if that's really what she wants. And there's this one exercise where they're asked to improvise a movement piece based on their ideal day. And instead of envisioning herself in a corner office, she starts moving in a way that expresses joy, connection, and presence. She realizes she finds deep fulfillment in spending time with her daughter, and she doesn't want to sacrifice that for a high-powered career.
That's such a powerful image, her body literally expressing what her heart really wants. But what about the others? Do they all experience this kind of epiphany?
Not always as dramatic, but definitely. Remember Jack, the Wall Street escapee? He was initially drawn to professions that involved working with his hands, being close to women. He considered hairdressing, even being a chef.
Those seem like pretty random choices coming from a finance background.
Well, he was exploring, trying to tap into something he felt was missing in his life. But as he embodied those professions through dance, he realized they didn't quite fit. He seemed frustrated, almost lost.
So how did he find his calling? Was there a sudden aha moment?
Actually, his breakthrough came through a collaboration. He started working with Bev, the aspiring performer. He helped her create these elaborate hairstyles for her stage persona, combining his business acumen with his newfound creativity, and he became her manager and stylist. It was like the dance unlocked a hidden talent, a passion he never knew he had.
This is making me think about the power of vulnerability, not just in dance, but in life. It's often in those moments when we let our guard down that we truly connect with ourselves and others. But what about Mark? Does he ever achieve his, well, divine aspirations?
His journey takes an unexpected turn. As he continues to explore his desire to be God through dance, he starts questioning the traditional portrayal of God as presented in religious teachings.
That sounds like a theological minefield. What kind of questions is he raising?
He challenges the idea of a God who demands praise and worship, who inflicts suffering and punishment. He wrestles with the concept of free will versus divine intervention, wondering why a supposedly benevolent God would allow so much pain in the world.
It seems like the dance is actually prompting him to engage in some serious philosophical reflection. So, does he reach any conclusions?
He does, but it's not what you might expect. He realizes he doesn't actually want to be the kind of God he's been taught about. He sees all the flaws, the inconsistencies in those traditional religious ideas, and he comes to a pretty profound realization.
So what is it? What's this big epiphany?
He realizes that he can have a much bigger impact, a more meaningful impact, by just being a teacher, by helping his students, like by guiding them toward a more compassionate, understanding way of seeing the world.
So instead of trying to be God, he realizes he can do good, make a difference, just as he is as a teacher.
Exactly. And that seems to be a thread that runs through all these transformations in the class. It's not about becoming somebody else. It's about discovering who you already are and embracing that.
That's amazing. This whole concept it's really fascinating. I mean, who would have thought that dance could be such a powerful tool for personal growth?
Yeah, and what's really cool is it's not about becoming a great dancer, It's about using movement as a language, a way to communicate with yourself, with your own deepest desires and fears.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways here? What can our listeners apply to their own lives?
No matter how old you are, what stage of life you're in, it's never too late to chase those dreams and create a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you.
Well, this deep dive into Want to Change Your Life has been incredible. It's inspiring to see how these individuals who started off feeling lost were able to find themselves, find their purpose through dance.
It really makes you think, about all that untapped potential we all have inside us. Who knows what we might discover if we just allow ourselves to move, to explore, to connect with ourselves and others in new ways.
That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into self-discovery through dance. We'll see you next time.